The early 1900s. The world of aviation was just beginning. The Industrial Revolution was not far off, and no one in the country except white men were given very many rights at all. As planes, flying, and everything that came with them became more popular, it, along with everything else in the world, remained exclusive to that aforementioned group of people, at least in the beginning. It was very difficult to obtain a pilot's license as a woman in America, and even more for that being a black woman. But that did not stop one very determined individual from beating the odds and becoming the first African American woman in America, not only to obtain a private pilot certificate, but also the first to achieve a commercial pilot certificate. Willa Brown was born just 3 years after the Wright brothers first took to the skies. She was born to a Native American father and an African American mother in Kentucky, but was moved to Indiana shortly after, where integrated schools gave her parents a hope of a better life and a better education. She excelled in primary school and enrolled as what is now Indiana State University for college. She graduated from the college with a bachelor's degree in business and was immediately hired as a teacher in a high school in Indiana, a job which she thoroughly enjoyed. While the 1920s and 1930s were a very difficult time to be alive in this country due to the Depression, Willa remained employed in numerous amounts of jobs over this period of time. One of these jobs was being a social worker for the Works Project Administration, or WPA. This job led her to Chicago, where she began to take an interest in the new world of aviation. When Bessie Coleman became the first Black woman to receive a pilot's license, it inspired many women to pursue careers in aviation by proving it was possible. However, she had to go all the way to France to get hers, as America would not certify her. Willa Brown was one of the many women who Bessie Coleman inspired into a career of aviation. Her career in aviation started as nothing more than a hobby. She was fascinated by the mechanics of an airplane and the art of flying, so she joined the Challenger Air Pilots Association and began taking flying lessons at a segregated airport called Harlem Field, while also taking classes at Curtiss-Wright Aeronautical University. She excelled in her classes and obtained her private pilot's certificate. She became the first Black woman to ever achieve a pilot's license in the United States. Just a year later, she earned her commercial certificate, becoming the first African American to do that as well. One of the most famous stories of our star aviator all began with her walking into a newspaper printer. Willa walked into the Chicago Defender one day in her full aviator outfit and asked them to advertise an air show comprised of entirely Black pilots. It worked, and the advertising worked well, and somewhere between 200 and 300 people showed up to watch a number of talented Black pilots from around the Chicago area perform the first all-Black air show in America. Willa used her grit and determination to fuel advocacy for Black pilots' rights. In 1939, she co-founded the National Airmen's Association of America. This group is specifically for encouraging African Americans to take interest in aviation. Willa was constantly pushing for desegregation, especially in the military. She and her husband, Cornelius Coffey, founded the Coffey School of Aeronautics. This school offered both theory and hands-on experience on aircraft and was one of the first schools of aeronautics to not discriminate on gender or race. When World War II broke out, Willa was applied and was rejected from the Women's Air Force service pilots because of her race. This did not discourage her to contributing to the war efforts in different ways, though. She and her husband founded Civilian Air Patrol Squadron 613 with their school. Willa received the rank of lieutenant, becoming the first African American woman to achieve this as well. Willa was still the director of the Coffey School of Aeronautics when it was chosen for a program called the Civilian Pilot Training Program. This program trained thousands of pilots across America and prepared them to join the Air Force. The massive success that her school and many other predominantly Black schools had in this program led to the eventual desegregation of the Air Force. When Bessie Coleman became the first African American woman in the world to obtain a pilot's license, people knew it was possible for everybody. However, Coleman had to travel to France to receive it as America was still segregating. Willa Brown did not let this stop her. She was an incredibly smart and driven individual and became the first African American woman to obtain a pilot's license in the United States. She was a constant advocate for civil rights and constantly pushed the boundaries of what people thought women were capable of at the time. Willa was one of the main reasons the Air Force was desegregated and paved the way for success for many minorities of the time to achieve great things in the world of aviation and beyond.